Hey friends, welcome to Wednesday. Today we're going to read chapter 8 and we are going to find out if Sika and Shen can make a comeback in the race. And remember that right now they're in last place. We're going to see if they can overtake the first place team. So this is chapter 8 and you can see at the beginning there's some pictures of all the different teams and what's happening in the story. All through the night and all through the following day, the race ran on, and all sorts of adventures and accidents befell the other sleds. Before long, there were only 5 sleds left. Sir Basil Sprout Dumpling was on the lead, thanks to a map his father had drawn that showed shortcuts between the rocks and islands of the frozen sea. But Helga Hammerfest was not far behind, and Mitzi Von Prinn and Shackleton Jones were catching up fast. Shen and Sika were right on the back, of course, so far behind that the others didn't even know they were still in the race. On the third night, when Sideplate stopped the sled, Sir Basil could hear the baying of Mitzi's team behind him. It sounded as though she had overtaken Helga Hammerfest. "Those pests are going to catch up to us, Sideplate," he complained. "Our lead does not appear to be narrowing, sir," agreed Sideplate. Sir Basil rubbed his mittens together gleefully. "Well, we'll soon get rid of him. Time for Operation Detour." "Are you sure that's necessary, sir?" asked Sideplate. "Of course it is. If I don't make it to the Snowfather first, my fortune is finished. Get to work." Sideplate sighed and did as he was told. Out of the bundles at the front of Sir Basil's sled, he fetched an inflatable signpost, which he pumped up with a bicycle pump. "There," said Sir Basil, "that should get rid of the others. You know where that will take them, sir? Take them, Sideplate?" "No, sir. Of course you don't. That's because I've been studying my dad's map and you haven't. It will lead them straight to the Lost Hope. Daddy saw it from a distance when he came this way all those years ago. He told me about it. A few of the other competitors went to have a look, and they were never seen again." This is a picture of him. He looks like an evil villain there. "How troubling, sir." "Not for us, it's not. The more racers we can get rid of, the easier we'll win. Come on, Sideplate, onward to the pole." "Very good, sir," said Sideplate unhappily. He turned on the small portable snow machine on the back of Sir Basil's sled. White flakes covered its tracks as it sped away. The sign stood where they left it. Soon Mitzi Von Prim's sled came speeding up, turned sharp left, and followed Sir Basil's detour. Close behind came Helga Hammerhead, who also turned left. Then a little later Shackleton Jones arrived. "Thin ice, eh?" he said. "Better take the detour, Snowbot." "I'm not detecting thin ice ahead," said the robot. "It is safe to proceed due north." Still, better not to take any chances, eh?" After that it was very quiet for a long time. The night grew colder and colder. It grew so cold that pieces of the northern lights froze and fell out of the sky. I don't actually think that's possible. They lay strewn about on the ice, glowing gently. At last Shen and Sika arrived at the detour sign. If Sika had been driving, she would have known at once that the detour was a trick. So you can see this is their detour trick sign. They're trying to get everyone to turn instead of going north, but it actually is taking them the wrong way. Her grandpa had told her enough stories of this race that she knew there was no such thing as thin ice, not that far north, not during true winter. But Sika was not driving. Sika was asleep, wrapped in furs, leaning against one of the sled's carved totems. And when Shen saw the sign, he turned left at once, following the tracks of all the other sleds. The paws of the scampering pugs kicked up a mist of powdered ice. It blew into Sika's sleeping face and woke her. She saw the big gold moon lying on the horizon far ahead and knew at once that they were going the wrong way. "Why have we turned?" Shen explained. "That can't be right. We must turn back." Shen tried to turn the sled, but by then the pugs were moving more and more slowly. That last burst of speed that woke Sika had tired them out. The sled came slowly to a halt and the little dogs flopped down in sleepy heaps. "We can't go any further tonight," said Shen. He got down from the sled and started to get food for the dogs. While they ate, he and Sika put up Grandpa's old tent. They hammered the iron tent pegs deep into the ice in case a storm blew up while they were sleeping. When they had all had something to eat, Shen and Siku crawled inside the tent and called for the dogs after them. They snuggled down in their sleeping bags. The sleepy pugs piled over them, and in a short time Shen was sleeping too. But Sika could not sleep. She looked at the embroidered patterns on the walls of the tent. A fallen northern light had wedged a snowdrift nearby, and it glowed gently through the canvas. And from somewhere not so nearby, very faintly through the frozen air, came singing. Sika slid out from under her blanket of pugs. They were so fast asleep that they did not even notice her leaving. She went outside into the glowing night and started walking toward the sound of the singing. If she had looked behind her as she walked, she would have seen that her footprints were slowly closing up, leaving the snow that was smooth and white as empty pages. There are 50 different types of snow in a true winter, and this was blind snow, the type that hides all tracks. I want you thinking, what do you think is going to happen when she tries to go back? But Sika was not looking behind her. She kept her eyes on a jagged hill of shattered rock ahead. It would have been an island if the sea had been water instead of ice. It seemed to her that the singing was coming from behind it. A green glow shone from behind it too, as if a really big bit of the northern lights had fallen there. She scrambled up between the rocks and looked. There stood a huge old ship, completely trapped in the ice. The name painted on its rusty stern said Hope, and suddenly Sika remembered something her grandpa had told her about how a lot of teams he had raced against had gotten sidetracked somewhere called the Lost Hope and were never seen again. She hadn't realized that the Lost Hope was a ship. She went a little closer. Parked beside the ship were 3 sleds. There was the high-tech sled of Shackleton Jones, with its robot dogs waiting motionless. Next to it stood the ancient bog oak sled of Helga Hammerfest and Mitzi von Prim's pink designer sled. Mitzi's dog team and Helga's polar bears snoozed behind them, but there was no sign of their owners. Above the sleds, fragments of fallen northern lights had been hung up along the Lost Hope's rusty side. That was where the green glow came from. The lights spelled out 3 words. Yeti Noodle Bar. Let's see what she's got. What a strange place for a noodle bar, she said to herself. Who would sell noodles all the way out here? A huge, hairy, white hand reached out from behind a rock and grabbed her by the hood of her coat. A huge, hairy, white voice rumbled in her ear. Yetis would. We'll see what happens tomorrow.